most of you are now familiar. So most of you are familiar with this prayer now.
Yes.
So should we try to chant together instead of me chanting first and then you following?
First one word. No. One word is good idea.
Yeah, one word.
No, Shabji, what happens is when we chant together, no, because when there is a lag, then it'll be all different. They'll be all speaking at the different times, so it would not.
Okay.
They won't be in sync.
Okay. So that means I chant and then you repeat.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would work. But yeah, let's see. Because when there are too many mics on, then what happens is there's too much disturbance.
Yes. I understand. Narayanam. Namaskritya. Naram. Chaiva. Narotamam. Devim. Saraswatim. Vyasam. Tato. Jayam. Udiraye. Now we go sentence by sentence. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram chaiva narotamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Tato jayam udiraye. Now I would request one of you if you can chant the translation, please.
Varsha ji, please.
Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nara Narayana, Rishi, the most human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So last session we discussed about how Pandavas left this planet. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody has any question from what we discussed last during last session?
I don't
Does any
have any question. No.
Does anyone have any question? Jagruti Mataji, you had asked me questions, so can you just, for the benefit of others also, can you, if you don't mind, can you repeat the question?
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So my question was from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 4, verse 15. So I was reading Gajendra's return to the spiritual world. So in that verse 15, it says Maharaj Yudhishthir was obliged to see hell because of a slight deviation from devotional service to the Lord. Now, we know that Yudhishthir Maharaj was he was Dharmraj, So this sentence, when I read, it kind of confused me. So that's why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, see, though this part is mentioned in the 8th canto, you said that, Mataji?
Yes, Gajendra returns to spiritual world, chapter
Correct.
4.
But the topic is very relevant to what we discussed during our last session. It was about Maharaj Yudhishthir.
Right.
Right. So what is your confusion, Mataji?
He was obliged to see hell.
Yes. Now he was obliged to see hell. From what we discussed, can anyone share something? What is the reason? What could be the reason that Maharaj Yudhishthira had to go to hell? We discussed that also, that part. If someone can remember or someone has some realization, some understanding, if someone can guess what could be the reason behind it.
May I tell?
Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, it was a way of, finding it, ki whether he still has all the virtues. So, Dharamraj, who was coming with him in the form of a dog, first of all, he found out whether he has the virtue because he selected him that he should accompany him to heaven in body.
Correct.
And still they wanted to see if when he reached heaven, he couldn't see his brother and wife. So he inquired whether where they are. So he heard the noises as if it's coming from hell. तो उन्होंने सोचा कि हेल में है, तो वो उधर गए, तो उनको आवाजें आ रही थी कि हम यहाँ हैं. तो वहां जो हेल के निवासी थे वो बोलने लग गए युधिष्ठिर से कि प्लीज आप थोड़ी देर और रुकिए, आपके यहाँ रहने से हमको अच्छा फीलिंग आता है. तो उन्होंने बोला कि मुझे यहीं पर ही छोड़ दो, मेरा यहाँ होने से औरों को भला होता है. तो युधिष्ठिर का एक टेस्ट था ये चेक करने के लिए कि वेदर ही डिजर्व्स heaven in the form of physical body.
Yes. The body he had on the earth planet. Yes.
Yes.
Correct. So now see, we need to focus on different aspects of this part, this incident. One thing is that in the question, what Jagrati Mataji said, that he was obliged to go to hell. Now, as far as we know, that Dharamraj Yudhishthira was epitome of piety, correct? And because he was qualified to enter the heavenly planets, go to the heaven in the same body what he was having on the earth planet, correct? So for that, one is the very apparent reason that he had to get purified before staying for longer time in the heavenly planets. And as you said earlier correctly, that because he heard the voices, he could not see his brothers and his wife in the heaven, but he could see Kauravas. He could see even Shakuni also, he could see Karna also in the heavenly planet. So he was a bit puzzled that, what happened, that Kauravas, they are already in the heaven, but my brothers who are more pious than the Kauravas, I cannot see them. And then, as you very rightly said, that he heard the voices as though, they were calling him to the hellish planet, and they were saying that they were in hell. So Maharaj Yudhishthira went to hell. Of course, one guard from the heavenly planets took him there. So when he went there for a few moments, then after that, the guard himself told him, now it's enough now for you to stay here. Better you go now to heavenly planets because you deserve to be there. Only for your purificatory thing, for your purification, you had to spend few moments in the hellish planet. But when he was about to leave, then he heard the voices of other living beings who were being punished in the hellish planets, and they were suffering. So they told Maharaj Yudhishthira that in his presence, they were feeling very comfortable. Otherwise, they were feeling very miserable. So for the sake of their comforts, other living beings' comfort, Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to stay in the hellish planet. So when the guard from the heavenly planets, when he saw Maharaj Yudhishthira's compassion towards the people in the hellish planets, then he was quite surprised. He was admiring Maharaj Yudhishthira for that. And after that, he took him to the heavenly planet. But before allowing him to stay in the heavenly planets, he asked him to take bath in one pond of water, and then told him that, once he takes bath in that pond, then he will give up all the emotions, all the connections, the relationships, what he was carrying on with him, which he brought forward with him to the heavenly planets. Then he will start acting normally with the Kauravas also in the heavenly planet. He will not have that kind of little bit of disappointment or hatred. Of course, he did not have any hatred as such, but he will not have different feelings, different emotions, what he was carrying from the earth planet to heaven. So for that, he had to take bath in that pond, and after that, he was normal. Then he could see his brothers and his wife also in the heaven. So this was like apparent kind of thing. But if you go at the deeper level, now many times in Mahabharata, when we read, I think I discussed this before in one of the sessions, one of the discussion we had, that Maharaj Yudhishthira's chariot was always used to be above, few inches above the ground. It would touch the ground because of his power of piety, right? He was very ethical, person of principles. So because of that, because of his power of piety, the chariot would not touch the ground. Always would be 3 inches above the ground level. But on the battlefield, when he lied to Dronacharya, his guru, about Ashwathama, and making Dronacharya understand that Ashwathama, his son, Dronacharya's son was killed, though an elephant named Ashwathama was killed by Bhima. So he caused misconception in the mind of Dronacharya. And because of that, because he lied to his guru, his chariot came down. So apparent reason in Mahabharata also is given like that. But Srila Prabhupada, in his interpretation, in his purport, he says that Maharaj Yudhishthir's chariot came down to the ground after that incident because he was hesitant to follow the instructions of Krishna. Krishna told him to lie to his guru, right? Because he was hesitant. He was holding on to the moral values, and he was not giving importance to the instructions given by the absolute truth, given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So he was giving more importance to the moral values, the ethical values, and the religious principles than the words of Krishna. So because of that hesitation, his chariot came down to the earth planet. And the same reason he had to go to hell, that also is because of the hesitation. The hesitation he showed towards following the instructions of Krishna. So on this point, when last time we had the discussion, we had to see a lie and truth. We had to compare what is true and what is false, not only from the moral perspective, social perspective, or legal perspective, but from the spiritual perspective. And more weight, more importance, more significance should be given to the viewpoint from the spiritual perspective. That's why they say, sometimes from the spiritual perspective, if we need to lie for the higher values, even though that may be perceived as a lie from the social perspective and even the legal perspective, still it is okay. Because after we leave this body, our spirit soul has to follow the spiritual principles, not the legal principles which are applicable to any geographical boundaries. Because legal principles, legal laws also are different in different countries on the same earth planet. So same law, what is applicable in one country will not be applicable in another country. Now this is geographical division of law. Then same way, there is a division of law according to the planets. What is legally acceptable on the earth planet may not be acceptable in the heavenly planets. So a spiritual platform is even higher than the heavenly planets. So Krishna told Maharaj Yudhishthira to lie to his guru, though morally, socially, even legally also, one should not lie to seniors, especially the guru. But Krishna gave more importance to the spiritual reason, the spiritual objective, right? That we discussed, because Krishna wanted Dronacharya to be killed on the battlefield so that Maharaj Yudhishthira becomes the emperor of the whole earth planet. Correct? So, does it answer your question, Jagannath Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, it does. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes. So we proceed now. So after Pandavas, they decided to leave the earth planet. They appointed Maharaj Parikshit as the emperor of the whole world. Now we talked about Maharaj Parikshit also. He is the grandson of Arjuna, son of Abhimanyu. Correct?
Yes.
Now there are many similarities between the Leelas or lifetime or the incidents which took place in Maharaj Parikshit's life and which took place in Arjuna's life. Arjuna was Maharaj Parikshit's grandfather. Arjuna is one of the wives of Arjuna. Arjuna got married to
Subhadra. Also.
Subhadra. Yes,
Krishna.
very good, Shokantji. So
Krishna's
Subhadra is Krishna's sister.
Sister. Yes.
And Krishna is Arjuna's cousin,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Maternal cousin. Correct? Now, if we see from now in the current situation, even in our Indian community also, it is not acceptable that if somebody gets married to his or her cousin, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Then how come Arjuna got married to his cousin? Even Parikshit Maharaj also got married to his cousin. Parikshit's mama's daughter. Parikshit got married to her. So this is the incident which is similar. There is similarity between Maharaj Parikshit and Arjuna. So how could he get married? How both of them can get married to their cousins?
Prabhu, may I?
Can anyone? Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, because if you're if you go to see, we're not allowed to marry the cousins, but if the gotra is different, then we can marry. Then they can marry.
Correct.
Even if they are cousins.
Yes. So see, when a gotra is different, very rightly you said, thank you, Jagati Mataji. Gotra is very important here. Now, gotra is decided based on the father, right? Now, Mother Kunti's brother, Vasudev. Subhadra was daughter of Vasudev. So it was maternal side, Arjuna's maternal side, not his father's side, not Pandu's side. So because of that, because gotra is different, right? Vrishni's gotra is different. Yadava's gotra is different. Pandava's gotra is different. So because gotra was different, they could get married. Same rule applies with Parikshit Maharaj and his wife. His wife was Uttar, Uttara's brother's daughter. Uttara was Parikshit Maharaj's mother, and her brother is Uttar, King Virat's son. So King Virat's granddaughter, Uttar's daughter, got married to Parikshit. So they are also first cousin, but because gotra is different, so they could get married. In the same gotra, marriage should not take place. There is a scientific proof also behind it. Why people from the same gotra should not get married, especially in our Vedic culture, in our Hindu religion. First cousins from the same gotra should not get married, but different gotra they can get married. First cousins they can get married. Anybody has any answer to this? Why is like that? What is the significance of gotra scientifically?
Yes, blood. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Sorry, आप बोलिए
नहीं आप बोलिए, मुझे नहीं आता आंसर.
गुरुजी, ये मैंने सुना है कि ये डीएनए और पे फर्क पड़ता है, बिकॉज दे टेंड टू हैव द डिजीज जो होती हैं वो फॉर्म हो जाती हैं. सर्टन थिंग्स आर व्हेन अगर वो सेम गोत्र में होते हैं तो प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं, बिकॉज इन सर्टन क्लैन्स जहाँ पे वो लोग रिलेटिव्स में शादी कर लेते हैं, क्लोज रिलेटिव्स में विद द सेम गोत्र, दे मस्ट बी हैविंग समथिंग एल्स. तो कुछ मेंटल डिजीजेस एंड डीएनए की डिजीजेस कुछ फॉर्म हो जाती हैं. ज्यादा डिटेल नहीं पता, बट आई हैव read about it, something like that.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right, because it has the effect on the DNA. But why it causes that kind of effect, abnormal effect on the DNA? Why does it cause that abnormal effect? Can anyone guess? Can anyone say something, share something?
Prabhu, I think maybe same genes.
Genes? Can you go little more technical, if you can?
I only have heard, so because the same genes, you cannot marry.
Yeah, see what? Yes. So what happens, Madhuri? That you use the word genes, but actually it is chromosomes.
Chromosomes, okay.
Like the male carry X and Y chromosomes, right? And women, they carry only X chromosomes. Correct? So when men and women, they are from different gotra, then the X and Y chromosomes, they can be compatible. But if they are from the same gotra, then that incompatibility is there, and that can cause abnormal effects. So see, our Vedic structure, whole social structure in our Vedic society was very scientific. And it is so different from the other communities. In the other communities, when they get married to first cousins in the same gotra, yes, sometimes, there is no bad effect. But generally, most of the time, scientifically proven. It causes, as you know, you said that it affects the mental problems. You know, people, the children they are born retarded or something like that. So these kind of bad effects are there. So from that perspective, our social structure based on the Vedic principles was very, very scientific. So the sages, rishis, their consciousness was very refined and they knew all these effects. They did not have any laboratory at their disposal to do the experiments in the laboratory of the DNA or the chromosomes and all that. But because their consciousness was so purified, they were so refined, they were so connected within themselves. And because of that, and this information, the whole knowledge was revealed within their hearts from the higher sources. So that's why they never made any mistakes. As far as these formulas, these rules and regulations are concerned, what they compile that information for the benefit of mankind. In that, while doing that, they did not make any mistakes. Yes, so Parikshit Maharaj got married to his first cousin. Now, after Krishna left, as we talked about it very briefly, Kali Yuga immediately started from that day. Kali Yuga's influence started from that day onwards. Though Kali Yuga personally, he did not manifest himself on the earth planet yet after Krishna left, but the symptoms, his influence already started. Like, you know, the example is given in the morning when the sunrise is very close, we already see the bright light in the sky, even though the sun has not risen completely. But the influence of the sunrise is already there. So same way, though Kali Yuga personally had not appeared on the earth planet, but its influence already was seen. And that's why Arjuna could see so many nonsenses were happening already after Krishna left. And Maharaj Yudhishthira also could see those things. And because Maharaj Yudhishthira, before meeting Arjuna, after Arjuna came back from Dwarika, before meeting him, Maharaj Yudhishthira already realized that, you know, Kali Yuga started. Now it's the time for us to leave. And that's why he decided to leave. And when Arjuna came back and he confirmed that Krishna has left and it is about the time for Kali Yuga to start, so better we leave. And after that, they left. So they appointed Maharaj Parikshit as the emperor of the whole planet. The whole earth planet was ruled by one emperor and other kings were like his subordinates. Originally, Bharat Maharaj was ruling the whole planet. And that's why the whole earth planet was known as Bharatvarsha. Right? Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yes. And before Bharat Maharaj, there was a king named Prithu. So when Prithu was ruling the whole earth planets, from after Prithu, the name of the earth planet was Prithvi. We call it Prithvi. So the emperors, they were very pious in those days. Maharaj Parikshit also was very pious. Equally pious like his grandfather and uncles, granduncles. And he was ruling according to the instructions by the Brahmin class. Now see the social structure at that time. The warriors, the Kshatriyas, they would rule the nations, the countries. But the guidance they will seek from the Brahmins. Brahmanas, they were not supposed to rule. Why the difference? Can anyone share with me from your understanding? Why that kind of difference?
ब्राह्मण को सिर्फ पढ़ाई करके टीच करने का काम था.
If it was the case, you know, then why Dronacharya and Kripacharya, they were on the battlefield of Kurukshetra?
Correct.
What was the reason that they were on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? If Brahmanas, they were only supposed to teach. So why they were on the battlefield of Kurukshetra?
गुरुजी शायद वो इतने फिजिकली इतने स्ट्रांग नहीं होते हैं ब्राह्मण, क्योंकि वो हमेशा विद्या में जुड़े रहते हैं, वाइल क्षत्रिय जो थे वो दोनों, शायद द्रोणाचार्य को धनुर्विद्या वगैरह भी सब आती थी, तो वो ज्यादा स्ट्रांग थे. I mean, this is what I feel.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. But there are so many examples in which, you know, you can see in our Itihasa, in our Vedic history, that many Brahmanas, even Parshurama also, he was a Brahmana, but he fought with Kshatriya warriors for 21 times. 21 different clans of Kshatriyas he cleared from the earth planet. So there were many examples, in which we see that the Brahmanas, they played the role of Kshatriyas. See, the hierarchy was Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Now, again, I want to reiterate that, that this division in the society was based on the consciousness, on the attributes, on the skills of the person, based on the skills of the person, not on the birth, not based on the birth. The division based on the birth was introduced later on in the society. But originally in our Vedic culture, it was never by birth. That decision was never made based on the birth. Correct? So there were many, this hierarchy was there. So Brahmana class, they could perform any duty or the lower class people whenever it was needed. Whenever it was needed, not whenever they wanted. They used to play this role according to the need in the society to maintain the proper spiritual and scriptural values in the society. They were not allowed to go according to their whims. And Dronacharya and Kripacharya, they went according to their whims, because Dronacharya felt more obliged to Dhritarashtra and Kauravas because they were supporting him financially. And Kripacharya also the same case. Correct? So now coming back to this part, Parikshit Maharaj was getting guidance from the Brahmanas. If we go back to this topic, discuss in more detail, when Vishwamitra went to Maharaj Dasharath and he asked for Lord Ram to send with Vishwamitra to the forest to protect the yagnas from the demons. Correct? Now when Vishwamitra took Ram and Lakshman, so Ram and Lakshman both went with Vishwamitra to the forest. Now when they went to the forest, Vishwamitra taught the archery, Dhanurvidya, to Ram and Lakshman, and he gave them so many weapons, divine weapons, Divya Astras. So Vishwamitra already knew the science of archery. Usko Dhanurvidya, unko Dhanurvidya aati thi. And he had all the weapons also. But still, he went to Maharaj Dasharath to ask for Lord Ram as a Kshatriya to protect the yagnas. Vishwamitra could have done that because he knew already the knowledge. He had the knowledge. But he knew what was his role in the society. So if the Kshatriya warrior is present there, then better engage the Kshatriya warrior to maintain the law and order. It is not Brahmana's job. Brahmana can guide to the ruler to maintain the law and order in the nation, in the country. But it is not Brahmana to implement the laws. He can advise the warrior, the Kshatriya king, how the laws to be drafted, what kind of laws should be introduced, but implementation, that responsibility of implementation lies at the shoulders of the warrior, Kshatriya warrior. Another spiritual reason, why Vishwamitra took Lord Ram and Lakshman to kill the demons who are disturbing the yagnas, because Vishwamitra, he was also Trikaldarshi. He knew who Lord Ram is, right? I will not use the tense was because Ram is still there, right? So Vishwamitra knew that who Lord Ram is. So he thought that, if he kills the demons, because he knew the archery and he had all the weapons, so the demons will go to hell because of their impious activities, because of disturbing the yagnas. But if the demons, they get killed by Lord Ram, they will get liberated. Being killed by Lord Ram, the demons will get purified and they will be liberated. So for that compassion Vishwamitra had for the demons also, though they were disturbing, but still Vishwamitra wanted the demons to be liberated. He did not want them to go to hell. People like us, if somebody is bothering us, we'll curse the person up and down.
Go to hell.
Go to hell.
Go to hell.
Right? Many times in the day, we use this word, go to hell, right? We use these words so loosely, so easily. But Vishwamitra, because these sages, they were so deep, their consciousness was so refined. Even though the person would kind of torture them, disturb them, but still they would bless them, just get liberated. So coming back to Maharaj Parikshit's pastime. So yes, Maharaj Parikshit was ruling very nicely under the guidance of the sages, very learned sages. And then one day, what happened? He went to forest. Now, many times we read this in the scriptures, the kings, they used to go to the forest to kill the animals for hunting, right? Now, if the king was very pious, how could he think of killing any innocent animal, creature, helpless creature? Why would he do that? Why would the kings do that?
शौक के लिए करते थे तो अपने
Sorry?
फन के लिए, शौक के लिए होते.
Fun and shock, that becomes in Kali Yuga. But in previous yugas, the kings, as I said, they were responsible for maintaining the balance in the society. If the animals, they would become wild, they had to be killed. If they would create any nuisance in the human society and kill innocent human beings, then it was king's responsibility to protect the citizens.
Okay.
So for that reason, only they would go to the forest for hunting. Only wild animals who could create the disturbance in the society, not other animals.
This is something new.
Yes, but does it make sense, Chokantalaji?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Again, I want to emphasize on this point, whether the sages or the warrior kings, they would not act according to their whims. If they would act according to their whims, based on their emotions and all that, they were not fit to be the rulers. And because of that reason, when Parshuram saw that the warrior kings, Kshatriya warriors, kings, they were misbehaving, they were behaving according to their whims, and they were not concerned about the citizens' well-being, Parshuram started killing them. And he gave the whole planet in charity to the Brahmanas to rule. And that was the system. And when Parshuram saw Lord Ramachandra at the time of the Swayamvar of Mother Sita, and when he realized that he is none other than Lord Vishnu himself, then Parshuram gave up fighting. Then he renounced the world in that way. He said, I will never fight, but I will teach. He kept teaching. That's why Bhishma Dev went to learn from him. And later Karna also went to learn from the Dhanurvidya, right?
Yes.
So coming back to this Parikshit Maharaj, so he went to the forest for hunting the wild animals, the animals who are creating disturbance in the society. So on the way, he saw one man, very dark-skinned man, wearing the ornaments like a king, and he was torturing a bull and a cow. So Parikshit Maharaj immediately chastised him. He took out his sword and he said, how dare you torture innocent animals in my territory? I am the king, I am the emperor here. Yes. So he wanted to kill Kali Yuga personified. Then Kali Yuga, with folded hands, surrendered himself to Maharaj Parikshit. Then again, Maharaj Parikshit being a warrior king, and it was Kshatriya Dharma. If anyone would surrender to them, the king won't harm that person, would give him abhaydan, would spare his life. Not only spare his life, but give him protection from other enemies. That was the code of conduct the Kshatriya warriors, the kings would follow. So when Kali Yuga surrendered himself at the feet of Maharaj Parikshit said, okay, I will not kill you, but I will not allow you to torture these innocent animals here in my territory, because as a king, it's my my duty, my job, my dharma to protect all the creatures who are in my kingdom. Not only the human beings, but all the creatures. So bull and cow, they are also my citizens. So I need to protect them, and I will not allow you to torture them anymore. Then he asked the bull, because bull was standing only on one leg. Right? We talked about this before, some time ago. If someone remembers,
Yes,
I would appreciate if someone would share that what was the symbolically what his four legs are, bull's four legs.
Yes. तो ये जो बुल था, ये एक्चुअली खुद धर्म था, ओके। और गाय भी जो थी वो पृथ्वी थी। तो धर्म था, तो सतयुग में इसके पूरे 4 चरण, 4 पैर होते थे, ठीक है। और वो 4 पैर होते थे, जिसमें से एक है तपस्या, एक है पवित्रता, जिसको शौच भी बोले, हाँ, और एक है दया, तो और 4th थी सत्य या सत्य, जो भी। तो वो शुरू के जो 3 है ना, वो रहे नहीं थे। अब ये द्वापर युग एंड हुआ और कलयुग आ चुका था, तो ये तीनों इसके रहे नहीं, इसलिए धर्म जो था वो एक ही पैर पे चल रहा था।
And Kali-yuga was trying to break that leg also, right? So before conversing, talking to Kali-yuga further, Maharaj Parikshit asked Dharam, the bull. See, in the previous yugas, even the animals also could speak. So Maharaj Parikshit asked Dharam, what has happened to you? Who tortured you so much? Now see, if anyone would like to check, if anyone could guess what kind of answer the bull gave to Maharaj Parikshit. शकुंतला जी आपको?
हाँ, आज तो पढ़ लिया थोड़ा। बहुत ही मेरे को अच्छे से याद नहीं है, बट आई कैन स्टिल आंसर।
प्लीज गो अहेड, प्लीज गो अहेड।
इतना सुंदर आंसर दिया। मतलब यहाँ पे क्या है कि परीक्षित भगवान जो महाराज है, वो बहुत ही परेशान है, हैरान है, गिल्ट में है कि ये मेरा राज्य है, इसमें इतना क्यों उत्पात मचा हुआ है, क्यों ये सब कुछ गलत हो। तो वो बहुत ज्यादा गिल्ट में है। तो ऐसा उन्होंने बैल से कहा, तो उन्होंने रिप्लाई दिया, क्योंकि वो एक्चुअली धर्म ही है। तो उन्होंने रिप्लाई दिया कि द्वैत, जो लोग द्वैत में विश्वास करते हैं वो ऐसा सोचते हैं, अदरवाइज मेरे जीवन में कुछ भी अगर बुरा हो रहा है तो उसका कारण मैं ही हूँ। अदरवाइज लोग दूसरों को उसके लिए दोषी ठहरा सकते हैं, भगवान को दोषी ठहरा सकते हैं, कोई टाइम को दोषी ठहरा सकते हैं, किसी को भी दोषी ठहरा सकते हैं, लेकिन एक्चुअल रीजन किसी भी मेरे जीवन में अगर कोई कठिनाई है तो उसका कारण मैं हूँ। और ये मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा।
Yes, this is very precise answer and thank you very much शकुंतला जी। आपने जो बहुत ही सुंदर रूप से उसकी व्याख्या की, you defined it very nicely. So yes, this is the precise answer Dharam gave. Dharam did not complain to him that Kali Yuga is the culprit. You know, he's torturing me. Punish him. As a king, it is your duty to punish him. So because Dharam had to kind of, illustrate his piety also. So very rightly what Shakuntala ji said, Dharam took the blame on himself. Whatever I am suffering, it is because of my karma only. Nobody else is responsible for my suffering. So when Parikshit Maharaj heard that, of course, Parikshit Maharaj also was very learned, very nice devotee of Krishna. So he also could understand what was happening. And he realized that Kali Yuga was the culprit. He was torturing them. And that's why he wanted to cut his head off, cut Kali Yuga's head off. And Kali Yuga surrendered, and then what I discussed earlier. So then Kali Yuga told him that I am Kali. Now it is my time to rule on this planet. So Parikshit Maharaj told him, as long as I am the emperor, I will not allow you to rule here. You cannot stay here in my territory. So Kali Yuga told him that you may know the bad things what are going to happen in my presence when I'm ruling over this planet. So Parikshit Maharaj said, yes, I have read in the scriptures that what is going to happen when you start ruling here. So there are so much of description given that what is going to happen in Kali Yuga. To that extent that parents will start eating flesh of their own children. The earth will stop producing grains. So for the survival, people will start killing each other. So many things are mentioned. Now, when we read about these things, and many times when we discuss about these things also sometimes in any satsang, people, they don't like to hear these things. People think, why are you talking about so many negative things? But these things are going to happen. Vyasadeva has already explained, mentioned in the Bhagavatam Purana. These things in Kali Yuga, as the Kali Yuga progresses, these kind of impious activities, these kind of sinful activities are going to happen. So, Parikshit Maharaj told Kali Yuga, these are bad things are going to happen, and you are portraying yourself to be a king, and you are saying that you are going to rule. That means you are going to be a ruler, a king, but you don't have any quality of a king. Your appearance is very deceptive, right? You're a very deceiving person, and this is happening in Kali Yuga. People, they have double characters, right? Sometimes 3-4 characters, right? So they apparently they have something, and from within they are something different. Because of anarthas, when we are born in Kali Yuga, we must be very degraded. We have to accept that fact, right? Because we are born in Kali Yuga, we must be very degraded, very sinful. But we are very fortunate also, because Krishna has allowed us to be born in the earlier part, Pratham Sandhyaya, it is called. Whenever we do Sankalpa for any puja, we say Pratham Sandhyaya, Kali Yuga Pratham Sandhyaya. That means the first part of Kali Yuga. First, like morning time, it is called first Sandhi, when the night and day unite. So that is the Sandhi part, Sandhya. So this is the Sandhi part of Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga's Pratham Sandhyaya. We are born during this time. So we are fortunate that at least we are able to discuss these kind of Krishna's Leelas. As Kali Yuga progresses, nobody will know who is Krishna, who is Lord Ram. What is Bhagavatam, what is Bhagavad Gita. Actually, it is already happening. Just 2 weeks, 21 years old, Indian lady. So in the consultation, in the discussion, I just asked her, because I told her she has to become vegetarian and all that. She said, why? Are you this, Ayurveda is based on religion, Hindu religion? I said, no, it's not religion, it's for health. Then this topic came up, to cut the story short. I asked her, do you know what is Bhagavatam? She said, no. I asked her, do you know what is Bhagavad Gita? She said, no. 21 years old, born in an Indian family, does not know what is Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, and what is Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavatam, many people, they don't know. But Bhagavad Gita is very well known. She did not even know that. So this is the beginning of Kali Yuga. So from this kind of instances, there is no difficulty. There should not be any difficulty if you also understand that as the Kali Yuga progresses, all these things will be lost. People won't know who is Lord Ram, who is Krishna. Now, when we talk about Krishna, many years ago, this also was shared by one of my clients, Indian client. He went for a party somewhere and he had a tattoo on his forearm, left or right, I don't know. It was written Krishna on his forearm, on a lower arm. So when he extended his arm to take something, So his sleeves pulled a little bit upwards. So one young lady, he said, she saw, Indian lady, saw that tattoo. She looked at him very in a funny way and asked him, what is this funny tattoo you are having on your lower arm? He said, this is Krishna. Krishna's name written. She asked him, who is Krishna? Indian lady asking Indian gentleman, seeing the tattoo, making funny face, asking who is Krishna. So when Kali Yuga progresses, there is no doubt, all these things, what is mentioned by Vyasadeva, all things will come true. So we should not focus, oh, these are so negative things, depressing and all that. These Vyasadeva has mentioned for us to become aware. When we go for any medical checkup, if in the medical report, doctor says something, you need to be careful about, we cannot say the doctor, why are you being so negative? Doctor is just reading the reports, right? So we also, what Vyasadeva has mentioned in the scriptures, we are just reading those scriptures and sharing with people. So people should not feel that, oh, we are being so negative. We need to be more realistic. To be positive is one good thing, but one should not become oblivious by what is happening, around us and what is going to happen. If we are careless, then we will be at loss. But if we take precautions, we are aware, we become awake, then we can protect ourselves from falling down. Correct? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. It does.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So coming back to this conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Kali personified. So Kali Yuga told him that about so many bad qualities I have, and I accept. You're completely right what you're saying. Because so much of description given by Parikshit Maharaj about the bad qualities of Kali Yuga, I won't go into details. But Kali Yuga told him that you have to focus on good quality also I have. So Parikshit Maharaj, even though he knew about it, but still he wanted to hear from Kali Yuga himself what Kali Yuga had to say. So Kali Yuga told them that what kind of spiritual reward people would get in Satya Yuga by performing tapasya for millions of years. That can be possible in Kali Yuga just if someone chants Krishna's name sincerely, even for a fraction of a moment. Not even for the whole moment, not even for the whole minute, even fraction of a moment. What people used to get, the spiritual rewards, spiritual benefits, they used to get in Treta Yuga by doing yagnas, by constructing temples, and Dwapar Yuga also by doing some austerity, different things, different yugas. For thousands of years they had to do, thousands, hundreds of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and millions of years. In Kali Yuga, fraction of a moment. If someone sincerely chants Krishna's name, Lord's name, Krishna will reciprocate. And because of this good quality Kali Yuga has, Parikshit Maharaj spared his life. Because Parikshit Maharaj knew in Kali Yuga, people will have so many reasons, so many difficulties, so many conditions, so many obstacles to perform the austerity, to perform the yagnas, to go to the temple. What to speak of constructing a temple, even to go to the temple also, people will have so many reasons, so many excuses, so many obstacles. So such people, when they sit at home quietly and focus on Krishna's name, even for a fraction of a moment, what Krishna has promised in Bhagavad Gita, and this I have personal experience and I've heard from many devotees. When they sit quietly, take the Japamala, or even without Japamala, when they focus on Krishna, they chant Krishna's name, what Krishna has promised in Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna that if someone chants my name sincerely, I reciprocate with that person. As though somebody is calling. If someone calls someone and that person answers back, same way I do with that person. Sincerity is very important. And when we do that, Krishna makes us feel that also his presence is there. And because we feel Krishna's presence automatically, no matter how depressed we feel otherwise, before chanting Krishna's name, automatically so much of confidence, so much of motivation we feel. We feel so motivated. How many of you have experienced this? Please share with me. share with others also. Don't feel shy. When we share our experience, our realization, our understanding with each other, it can work as an inspiring thing, for others. It will inspire others to follow. Please share with me, share with others.
Yes,
Sorry to-
definitely. भगवान तो सुनते हैं, आंसर्स भी देते हैं, and insights भी आती हैं.
Yes.
It
Yes.
happens.
Yes.
और तब ज्यादा आती है जब हम ज्यादा परेशान होते हैं. Then दो कुंती वाला जो आइडिया है ना, वो बहुत.
Correct. Absolutely.
अदरवाइज हम क्यों बैठ के माला जप करेंगे? अब घर में किसी कोविड का टाइम है, घर में किसी को कोविड हो गया, तब हम फाट से मालाएं जपना शुरू. अदरवाइज
Hare Krishna Bhakti and Prabhu.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yogendra Mataji.
May I share on that part?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Please go ahead. Mataji. Yes, sir.
Prabhu, when I sincerely chant, I take that as sincerely calling out to the Lord. There are not once or twice, Prabhu, but so many times His presence has been felt.
Yes.
And it feels, there's no word to describe that feeling, Prabhu. It is just
absolutely beyond
too
words.
good to be true.
Yes.
And at that moment, still one realizes that being so fallen, yet the Lord is really, like Srila Prabhupada said, He's waiting for us to call Him sincerely. He's waiting for us to go back home, back to Godhead.
Absolutely.
And it really makes us feel more sincere in depth and call out to Him more so each time. So, and He does not go back on His word. That's why I said so many times He has appeared, Prabhu. It's really amazing.
Yes.
And He's not going to stop. So we should also continue at all times to get deeper and deeper.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
That's all, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes.
Hare
Anybody
Krishna.
else would like to share?
Beautiful thing ki matlab Vishnu ji really blessed me.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
his name is actually very powerful. His name is powerful.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Yes. Yes. Anybody else would like to share?
Yes, Varsha.
Yeah. So I would like to share my experience when my daughter was about to get married. And actually, I mean, because she got married to an American. So when she was seeing this American boy, and initially I did not accept that because I was, I was somehow, I don't know, for whatever reasons, I was like, American, no, I don't think so. And then she told me, Mom, you have always taught us that everyone is equal, whether he's Indian, American, as so long as they have, good social, moral, human values.
Correct.
And all people are equal. So why are you saying no now? And all their values are very similar to ours. So why do you say no? And I was like, I didn't know what to say, because what she was saying was right, that I'd always taught them that all human beings are equal. So she just left me speechless. I didn't know what to say then. But deep down in my heart, I don't know why I was. So she said, I know why you're saying no, because you're very concerned about what people will think. I said, yeah, that's true. But then I said, oh my God, now what do I do? She's put me in such a dilemma that I don't know what to do. So I started praying, and I was like, oh God, Thakurji, please tell me what's the right thing to do. I don't know what to do. And you tell me, what should I do? And then what happened was at that time we were watching Mahabharat. We were watching Mahabharat serial, right? Can you believe I just said that? And that Sunday, there was this whole episode about Swayamvar. And in that, Krishna himself says that, that every woman has the right to choose her husband. I was like, oh my God, I got my answer.
You got the answer, yes, yes.
So yeah, that's true. When when you have a sincere prayers, and you ask, not ask meaning not for your own benefit, but you want some answers, you definitely get it. You definitely get them.
Yes, yes. So yes, many people have this kind of experience. This is what Yogi Radha also said, Krishna reciprocates immediately. As Shakuntala ji also said, and one Mataji said about Vishnu Sahasranam. So there is no
Acharya
doubt
ji,
about it. Yes.
सॉरी, आप मुझे अगर परमिट करेंगे तो मैं थोड़ा सा बताऊंगी, ज्यादा नहीं. मेरे हस्बैंड को कैंसर डिटेक्ट हुआ था टंग का. दो ही इज अ नॉन स्मोकर, नॉन ड्रिंकर, सब कुछ था, वेजिटेरियन, बिकॉज वी आर प्योर वेजिटेरियंस. मैं सिर्फ लॉर्ड को प्रे करती गई, ऑफ कोर्स नॉट कृष्णा बट जस्ट द लॉर्ड. तो मैं कि हमको सही डायरेक्शन देना, सही डॉक्टर के पास सही डायरेक्शन में सही सब करना. इट वाज इनिशियली, इट वाज जस्ट स्टार्टेड, जस्ट 1 millimeter था वो. एंड यू विल बी सरप्राइज्ड कि एक्चुअली मेरे हस्बैंड एयरफोर्स में हैं, तो थे, मतलब ही इज रिटायर्ड नाउ. वी वेंट टू द हॉस्पिटल RR, और हम लोग वहां पे पहुंचे. देयर वाज अ डॉक्टर. when we came to know about it, when my husband inquired, because he said कि आप जल्दी से इसको malignancy है ही, तो ऑपरेट करा लीजिए आप. That doctor had just come from Tata Institute of Bombay after being trained. He was from Navy. और क्योंकि डॉक्टर्स जो होते हैं वो कंबाइंड होते हैं, नेवी, एयरफोर्स, आर्मी के सारे. तो उन्होंने, एंड ही वाज देयर ओनली फॉर 6 months. Only for 6 months. He had already put up his papers because Ambani's had asked him to come to their cancer hospital. So I felt कि he was a God sent angel, जिन्होंने हमको सही रास्ते पे और सही जगह पहुंचा दिया. And now my husband is perfectly fine now.
Very good.
तो मतलब इस तरह ऊपर वाला सुनता है आपकी हमेशा.
Correct.
फेथ तो आपका रीइंस्टेट होता ही है हर जगह.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt about it.
हाँ, ऑफ कोर्स. तब मैं साईं राम को अभी भी मानती हूँ, उनको बोलती हूँ मैं. बट आई फील कि जो भी है एक ही है भगवान सब तरह से. जैसे मैं शिवा की भी पूजा करती हूँ, बट दिस थिंग वाज रियली सरप्राइजिंग कि हम लोग उस ड्यूरेशन में गए, एंड ही हैड जस्ट कम अबाउट 15-20 days बैक, और वो 6 महीने रह के वो चले गए वो यहाँ से, और हम वहां पे पहुंच गए टाइम से. तो आई एम थैंकफुल टू लॉर्ड कि उसने हमको सही टाइम पे सही इंसान के पास पहुंचा दिया.
करेक्ट. ऐसे ही इसीलिए कहते हैं ना, थैंक यू फॉर शेयरिंग दिस, कि भगवान सहायता करते हैं लेकिन किसी दूसरे माध्यम से. ऐसा नहीं कि भगवान स्वयं आ जाएंगे, लेकिन वो किसी न किसी माध्यम से सहायता करते हैं. देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट.
They are the angels जो आते हैं और हमको डायरेक्ट करते हैं चीजों के.
Yes. अभी इसमें से हमें ये भी शिक्षा लेनी है, हमें ये भी समझना है कि भक्ति मार्ग में चलने से ऐसा नहीं कि कष्ट नहीं आएंगे, ऐसा नहीं कि दुख नहीं होगा. और कभी कभी तो ऐसा देखा गया कि भक्ति मार्ग में चलने वालों के जीवन में अधिक कष्ट आते हैं, अधिक दुख होता है. लेकिन उनके जीवन की जो हम शैली देखेंगे, if we see the way they live their life, when they're going through some miserable situation, miserable condition, their consciousness still is the same. They still have the faith. Not only the faith, they have the same faith. Actually, their faith, as you said, faith increases. Correct? So Krishna creates some kind of problems when he's sure that devotee can handle that problem. And that's the reason, if you see, if you might have read, you might have heard, you might have seen also in your personal life, that many times we see that some Vaishnavas, some devotees, they are very advanced and they have more critical illnesses, which normally, as you, जैसे आपने बताया कि आप प्योर वेजिटेरियन है, ना वो सिगरेट पीते हैं, ना मदिरा पान करते हैं, फिर भी उनको ऐसी तकलीफ हो गई, तो क्यों?
आचार्य जी तब करते थे, पार्टीज वगैरह में ही यूज्ड टू डू, बट अब तो वो सब उन्होंने कभी का छोड़ दिया है, बिकॉज पर एज अ नॉन वेज नहीं खाते थे, कुछ नहीं करते थे, फिर भी हुआ उनको कैंसर. ऑफ कोर्स स्ट्रेस फैक्टर रहा होगा कहीं कुछ, तो पर ये है कि ऊपर वाले ने एंजल्स भेज के हम लोगों को निकाल लिया, और उसने स्ट्रेंथ भी दी हम लोगों को कि हम उसको वो that because that period was little traumatic for all of us, but उसमें निकल आए हम लोग सब.
Correct. So yes, this is what Krishna does, you know. Of course, the difficulties according to our karma we have to go through. Krishna is not responsible for our karma, right? But when we surrender to him, then he takes responsibility. Then he doesn't focus on our misdeeds. Then he just focuses on the fact, as I discussed this before, I shared it with you this before. At that moment, he sees that this person needs my help. Now it is my duty, as I am a Bhakta Vatsala, I am the protector, right? Vatsala means, you know, the person who is like parent to the surrendered soul. So as a parent, like, you know, a mother, when any child, no matter how mischievous, how naughty the child may be, so many kind of things he must have broken at home and all that. But when he goes and says sorry to the mother, mother will forgive. This is what Krishna does. Because at that time, the mother will see, now this poor child needs my help, my compassion, not my anger. That time, mother will not show anger. So Krishna also does the same thing, right? When he sees that the person, sincere devotee, has surrendered unto me and he needs my protection, with so much of faith he has come to me. जैसे शकुंतला जी ने कहा, जब भी हमारे पे कोई संकट आता है ना भौतिक संसार में, तभी हमारी श्रद्धा भगवान में और बढ़ जाती है,
तभी याद करते हैं, तभी श्रद्धा,
हाँ, तभी बहुत याद करते हैं. तो भगवान वो भी देखता है, क्योंकि भगवान को दिखता है कि ऐसे संकट के समय में वो किसी और के पास भी जा सकता था. हम उसी के पास जाते हैं जिसमें हमें हमारा अधिक विश्वास होता है. संकट के समय में, सुख के समय में तो बहुत लोग आ जाएंगे सुख बांटने के लिए, लेकिन दुख के समय में हम उसी के साथ दुख बांटेंगे जिसमें हमारा अधिक विश्वास होगा. जो दुख हमारा अपना है तो हम अपनों से ही बांटेंगे उसको, किसी गैर से नहीं बांटेंगे उसको, हाँ? किसी पर्याय से नहीं बांटेंगे उसको. तो भगवान को जब हम अपना समझते हैं, when we think of him as our own, very close to us, very dear to us, and that's the reason when the situation is very intense, very critical, then we go to him, because at that time more faith in him than anybody else. So Krishna sees that this person did not go to anybody else. वो किसी बार में मदिरा पान करने के लिए नहीं गया अपना दुख भुलाने के लिए, वो मेरे पास आया. तो वो जो, if he has faith in me, with that faith he has come to me, surrender to me, then it is my responsibility to protect that faith. Not only protect that, but strengthen that faith in him. And then Krishna takes charge of it. Correct? So coming back to that discussion where we were talking about, in Kali Yuga told him that if somebody just only fraction of a moment, if he chants Krishna's name, that person is the person. Now, many times when we talk about this topic, you know, particularly the Shloka in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna tells Arjuna, at the time of death, what kind of consciousness, what kind of thought process the person has. According to that, he takes another birth, right? So now, if Krishna's name can be so liberating, then many devotees are chanting his name so many times in a day, but still their life is miserable. Many devotees, not everybody, but many devotees' life. Then why Krishna is not liberating them from the miserable situations? Why so many miseries keep on coming in their lives?
जो कर्म लेके आए हैं उनको तो पूरा करना होगा ना, उनको तो
Correct.
भुगतना होगा.
Correct. See what Krishna told Arjuna, particularly at the time of death, the person is liberated. क्योंकि वो उस क्षण, that moment when somebody is meditating on Krishna and leaves the body, after that he is not performing any other karma. So he's not creating any other reaction after performing any karma. That's the last karma at the last moment he did, liberated. But in our life, because we are alive, we are still living our life. So we chant his name, we do nonsense things, we chant his name, we do nonsense things, right? So for the nonsenses we have to pay. The penalty he may reduce, but penalty will be there. We cannot be freed from that penalty unless we are really, really advanced. So this is what it means. You know, when Krishna says, he's not kind of, lying to Arjuna by saying that. Whatever he says is that makes sense. At the time of death, after that there is no more karma. Then the person is liberated. So हम क्या जब करते रहते हैं? We keep on chanting. When chanting is over, then we get involved in other karmic work, and that has reaction. Whatever karma we do, it has a reaction. So we cannot be free from the bondage of that action and reaction, unless at the time of death we remember him, we meditate on him, and then we leave. So Kali Yuga told Parikshit about it. So when Parikshit heard, he said, "Okay, I'll spare your life, but I will not allow you to occupy the whole territory. You choose 4 places where you can decide." So can anyone share what kind of 4 places Kali Yuga chose? Jai Shakutala ji.
कोई और भी कर सकता है और मैं तो बता ही दूंगी. एक तो वो प्लेस जहाँ पे जुआ खेला जाता है,
Yes.
एंड एक वो प्लेस जहाँ पे मदिरापान होता है, मद्यपान, और एक वो प्लेस जहाँ पे ज्यादा अटैचमेंट आ सकती, काम, पैशन, ये सब चलेगा. एक जहाँ पे हिंसा है, वायलेंस है, जहाँ पे, या इन अदर वर्ड्स जहाँ पे वैर है, दुश्मनी है. ये 4 प्लेस दिए. भी वो नहीं माना, फिर एक और प्लेस मांगा. फिर वो दिया सुवर्ण, यानी धन. दैट मीन्स मेनली रजोगुण.
So 4 places. Everybody understood? What are the 4 places? So first one is the जहाँ पे gambling होती है, जुआ.
Yes.
That means if someone is trying to earn money by dishonest means, correct? Gain profits without any hard work, without any sincere effort. Cheating propensity. Gambling में cheating होता है ना? Correct? And the second one is जहाँ पे व्यभिचार होता है.
Yeah.
जैसे आपने काम की बात बताई, काम, lust.
Yes.
व्यभिचार वहीं पे होगा जहाँ पे लस्ट, जहाँ पे वासना होगी. यहाँ पे एक बात I want to stress on one point. Many times people they say that in the scriptures it is mentioned that one should not associate with women. This also we discussed before. शास्त्रों में कामिनी का त्याग करने के लिए नहीं कहा है, कामना का त्याग करने के लिए कहा है. So one is not supposed to give up the association of women, but one is supposed to give up the lusty desires. So coming back to that, so व्यभिचार जहाँ पे होता, और तीसरा स्थान है जहाँ पर हिंसा, particularly killing innocent animals, slaughterhouses, वहाँ पे कलयुग का वास होता है. And the fourth one is which one?
वैर, लड़ाई, दुश्मनी.
That is the हिंसा ना,
हिंसा,
जहाँ पे मदिरा पान होता है.
मदिरापान, yes.
Now Madira Pan is intoxication. Now we are already intoxicated because our consciousness says we are in this body, we are intoxicated. That's why we identify ourselves with this body. And that's why when it comes to, if we need to do some kind of any immoral activity or something just to safeguard ourselves or safeguard our relatives, our family members, our spouses, our children and all that. So we cross the boundary of that, of ethics, of morality. Correct? So that also is intoxication. That means we are not in our own senses. That's why we don't know what is proper thing to do, what is the rational thing to do. So if we are not behaving rationally, that means we are nonsense seeker. And that means we are intoxicated, right? हम नशे में हैं, तभी तो हमारी सूझ बूझ नहीं होती है कि कैसा काम करना चाहिए. So these are the 4 basic places where Parikshit Maharaj allowed Kali Yuga to reside. But in Kali Yuga said, one more place you gave me. And then Maharaj Parikshit told him, जो आपने कहा धन, धन भी जो सही कार्यों से कमाया गया उसमें नहीं, जो अत्याचार करके कमाया गया धन, उसमें कलयुग का वास होगा. जो किसी का अधिकार हो धन पे, वो धन किसी ने चुरा लिया हो, उस धन पे. That means if somebody has taken some kind of wealth by force from somebody else, so that kind of wealth Kali Yuga can decide. In the Bhagavatam, the word is used swarnam, gold, because in those days the gold was used as the means of exchange, not for currency notes. So literal meaning is wealth. So wealth also which is accumulated by wrong means, unlawful means. So Kali Yuga can decide there. So when Kali Yuga heard that, Kali Yuga got the chance. First person who Kali Yuga attacked, that's Parikshit Maharaj himself. Parikshit Maharaj was wearing a crown at that time, made of gold, of course. Kali Yuga resided in that crown. Now, the question may arise, actually Parikshit Maharaj such a pious king. We cannot imagine of having Parikshit Maharaj having a wealth accumulated by wrong means. Very loyal, very rightful person, very pious person, whose grand uncle was Maharaj Yudhishthir, epitome of piety. How can that person have wealth which was accumulated by wrong means? I think in one of the discussions we talked about it, if someone remembers, if you can want to share. From where did Parikshit Maharaj get that crown? Gem-studded gold crown, pure gold. You know the incident of Bhima fighting with Jarasan? Jarasan had, I think, arrested 84 or 86 kings, small kings. And he wanted to make 100 kings so that he could slaughter them, sacrifice them to please Lord Shiva. And Krishna wanted to protect all these kings. So when Bhima killed Jarasan, so rightfully whatever wealth Jarasan had, Pandava could take it. So Pandava did not take all the wealth. He gave to Jarasan, they gave to Jarasan's son, but some Jarasan's son also told them, you know, that you should take some wealth because you are the rightful owner of the wealth. So Maharaj Yudhishthir accepted some gifts from him, and some wealth he took. In that wealth, many crowns were there of those kings, you know, who Jarasan had arrested and tortured them. So one of the crowns belonged to one of the kings who was arrested by Jarasan, and that crown, unfortunately, on that day, Parikshit Maharaj was wearing. So Jarasan's bad karma had the influence of that crown, and because Parikshit Maharaj was wearing that, So it affected Parikshit Maharaj. So see the law of karma, how deep it is, how intense it can be. So you have to be very, very careful. No way we can win when it comes to deciding good karma and bad karma. Always the side of our bad karma will be higher. Always. And many times, we don't know, we don't even realize what kind of bad karma we are doing. Unknowingly, we do it. But as in the law of court of law on the earth planet, innocence cannot be an excuse, cannot spare us from the penalty. Same rule applies in the universal law. If we say, oh, we are ignorant, we did not know about it, bad for you. So that cannot be accepted as an excuse, as a defense. So Parikshit Maharaj, unknowingly, he just wrote that down, and Kali Yuga went and decided in that. And because of that, Parikshit Maharaj's thinking changed. After that, when he was going back to his kingdom, Hastinapur, on the way he felt thirsty. So he went to one hermitage, one ashram of one sage. So there he felt thirsty, so he asked the sage to give him some water. The king was meditating. Sorry, the sage was meditating, the rishi was meditating. So Parikshit Maharaj, who was such a pious king, always respectful towards brahmanas and rishis. Yes, this is the picture. He felt insulted. He also was a great devotee. He knew that sage was sitting in a samadhi. But because of the influence of Kali Yuga, he felt insulted. Parikshit Maharaj felt insulted. So he wanted to teach a lesson to the sage. So he took a dead snake from the ashram, from under a tree, and he wrapped that around, coiled it around the neck of the sage to insult him for not welcoming the king. And after that, he went back to his palace. So when he took off his crown, he came to his own senses. Oh my God, what a big sin I committed. What a big offense I committed to that great sage. Because that was his true consciousness, Parikshit Maharaj. So then he wanted to go and ask for forgiveness. So he was getting ready to go back to the ashram to go and ask for forgiveness. By that time, the sage himself arrived in his palace. And the sage told him what happened. Does anyone know what happened after Parikshit Maharaj left the ashram of that sage?
Yes.
Yes, Shakuntala ji.
Yes, I can. वो ये तो भूल गए कि मेरी इंसल्ट हुई है, बल्कि he was unhappy with the way his son has behaved, और सन ने उसको कर्स दे दिया है, इसके लिए उनको बड़ा दुख हुआ. बिकॉज जो सेज जो भी मुनि थे उन्होंने ये बोला कि परीक्षित महाराज इस श्राप के लायक नहीं थे, ने श्राप क्यों दे दिया, वो तो सही इंसान.
So when the sage opened his eyes, he woke up from the samadhi. When he saw the snake, first thing he just threw the snake away. And by that time he came to know that because when the sage was still in samadhi and Parikshit Maharaj did it, that sage's son, Shringi Muni, Shringi Rishi, he was a young boy. So one of his friends, another Rishi, son of another Rishi, he went to Shringi Rishi and told him that, your father is being insulted by Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj took a dead snake and coiled the snake around your father's neck. At that time, your father was in samadhi. So Shringi Muni, without thinking twice, he took the water in his right hand and he did the sankalpa. He chanted the mantra and he announced the curse to Maharaj Parikshit that you have insulted my innocent father. You're not worthy of being a king or being an emperor. I curse you. The snake will become alive and will bite you to death, will kill you. That snake poison will kill you on the 7th day from today. So when The Shringi Rishi's father, when he saw that death snake and he removed that, when he came to know about his son's curse to Parikshit Maharaj, he felt very bad, disappointed. Then he said that, that when a power is given to an unworthy person, that power will be misused. The power was given to this his son Shringi Muni by his father himself. He taught him tapasya and all that. And because of the chanting of the mantras and all that, he became powerful. See, this is the reason many times you read in our scriptures that many mantras, they were kept secret. The sages would not accept disciples so freely. They were very, very careful when they would accept anybody as a disciple, because if disciple does something wrong, the guru has to take the blame. Guru's name also will be spoiled. Guru has to bear the karma. So because of that, the gurus used to be very careful. I want to share with you our guru's principle also. Our guru, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, was one of the prime disciples of Srila Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who started the Hare Krishna movement. So whenever our Gurudev would come to ISKCON temple, Hong Kong temple here, so whenever he would eat, honor any prasad, so leftover, normally we would take as his prasad, Mahaprasad. So Gurudev used to instruct us, do not distribute my leftovers, my prasad, to any unknown person, to the person who you don't have any faith in, because I don't know to take the karma of that person. And it is your responsibility now to decide with who you would like to share my prasad. So he was very careful. So the sages also used to be very careful. They would not accept disciples so freely, because it is a big responsibility. If disciples does something wrong, then the guru has to take the blame. So Shringi Rishi's father said like that, then when the power is given to an unworthy person, the power will be misused. I want to share with you my personal experience. Long time ago, I used to teach yoga here in Hong Kong at Aberdeen Marina Club, I think 95, 96. So every Wednesday used to be my class there. So one Wednesday I taught, after the class, one Chinese young man came to speak to me. Then he said that, Mr. Sharma, I heard that you practice Ayurveda. You know about Ayurveda also. I said, yes. So he told me that, can you recommend some tonic for me to increase my power? So I asked him, are you married? He said, no. So I asked him, do you have any girlfriend? He said, no. Then I said, why you want to take any kind of tonic for that? So he said, no, because I want to just enjoy life. I said, no, then if your objective is just to enjoy life and by taking that tonic, and if I recommend any tonic to you, you'll misuse the power, then I have to take the bad karma also. So when you get married, when you need it, then you come to me, then I will help you. So these kind of instructions, what I have studied in the scriptures. So sometimes, I follow, and we should follow. We should not be, this is the kind of Western culture. Be equal to everyone. Everybody is right. Equal rights and all that. So we should not hide. Now, this is the result of so many yoga classes. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry just walk into any class and start doing yoga. Whether the person is qualified or not, they can learn yoga. They can stand on their head also. So physically, they may be able to do it. But if their consciousness is not at that level, so whatever power they can gain by doing the yoga practice, they will misuse it. And it is happening in the world. So coming back to this point, so Shringi Muni, when he gave that curse, so that his father, he realized, he immediately went to Parikshit Maharaj to warn him that my son has cursed you. Now Parikshit Maharaj was also very powerful. He could have counter-cursed Shringi Muni, but he did not do that. He just accepted as the will of the Lord. And he accepted as the offense, he committed, so he should be penalized for that. Now, the penalty what was given to him, it was not in proper proportion, as Shakuntala, you said. That curse, that was not in proper proportion to the offense he committed. It's like capital punishment. But Parikshit Maharaj accepted it. Because when he was speaking to Kali Yuga, and when Parikshit Maharaj told him that as long as I am alive, I will not allow you to rule in my territory, then Kali Yuga told him, now if you're saying like this, and now it is my turn to rule on this planet, it means that your time is off. Your time is up. You have to leave. So Parikshit Maharaj remembered that, what Kali Yuga told him. So it's all, he thought, now if Kali Yuga is supposed to rule over this planet, so why should I interfere? Let him rule. Now this is Krishna's arrangement. So why should I intervene in Krishna's arrangement? So Parikshit Maharaj, as a very sincere, very humble, very surrendered soul devotee, he accepted that. He did not counter curse the sage, though he was capable of doing that. He was qualified to do that. He was powerful enough to do that. But he did not do that. Now that doesn't mean that we should tolerate nonsense things from people. We also need to take these things in proper context, not out of context. Sometimes this also, many people, they make mistakes, be tolerant, keep on tolerating nonsense things from other people. No, Krishna doesn't say that. If Krishna had to say that, Krishna wanted to say that, he would not have stopped Arjuna from fighting. So all these things, what things are mentioned in the scriptures, we always need to see in the proper context, in proper perspective, with proper perception. Then only we can apply, we can implement those kind of teachings in our life properly. Otherwise, we may make mistakes. For that reason, we need always, though we are able to read the scriptures, but to understand the scriptures, we need guidance from a guru. On our own, we may misunderstand. And if we misunderstand, we may commit offenses. And if we commit offenses, then we have to be penalized. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. True.
Any question here so far, what we discussed? Or any comments? Anybody has any realization, any comment? Anyone you want to share what you understood?
एक क्वेरी है कि आप कह रहे हैं कलयुग स्टार्ट हुआ है, तो कलयुग लोग कहते हैं कलयुग खत्म होने वाला है, कलिका जो है वो जन्म लेंगे और उसका वो चेंज ओवर होगा.
हाँ होगा, लेकिन जो जब भी कलयुग की अवधि समाप्त होगी ना, when the Kalyuga's duration is over, then only the change will occur, not before that.
But वो कहते हैं कि अब टाइम आने वाला है उसका. That is what कि वो birth ले चुका है. I mean, I've been just reading about. I don't know how far it's true.
Birth ले चुका है means what, Mataji?
Birth मतलब that वो birth ले चुके हैं कलिका और वो आएंगे.
कल की अवतार.
Sorry.
अभी कहाँ birth ले लिया?
हाँ, और वो आएंगे and they'll be sift, और जो कहते हैं ना कि 5G means that change over will be there. हम लोग change होंगे, vibrations दूसरी होंगी, people are turning more spiritual than being religious. तो मैं आपसे पूछा, आप कह रहे हैं कि अभी स्टार्ट हुआ ही है.
हाँ, अभी तो आरंभ हुआ है.
अभी तो आरंभ हुआ, अभी तो सिर्फ 5000 years हुआ है शायद.
Correct, yes. For 5000 plus years have just passed.
And
और जो
उसकी अवधि शायद 1 लाख कुछ तो years की है कलियुगा की.
हाँ, अभी if you
432,000 years.
Yes. That is the duration of Kali Yuga.
Yes, and it's been only 5,000 years plus now.
Kali Yuga is not young also. It's he's a toddler.
Yes, अभी तो वो घुटनों के बल चल रहा है.
घुटनों के बल चल रहा है, right?
हाँ.
Sorry, मेरा ये confusion था मुझे.
मैं समझ सकता हूँ. नहीं, मैं समझ सकता हूँ. बहुत लोगों को ऐसी बातें हैं, वो क्या है? No offense to anyone, but unfortunately, many so-called gurus also they say these kind of things. कलयुग समाप्त होने वाला है, सतयुग आरंभ होने वाला है, सब बातें ठीक होने वाली है, ऐसा वैसा, बट उसको समय लगेगा. हाँ, वो बातें होंगी लेकिन अपने समय के अनुसार होगा. कलयुग जैसे वर्षा जी ने कहा कि the lifespan of Kali-yuga is 432,000 years, out of which 5,500 plus years have just passed. That means 426,500 years are still balanced. So now he's a घुटनों के बल चल रहा है. कभी कभी मेरी माँ बोलती थी, हम लोग बचपन में सुनते थे, कलयुग का जब भी घुटनों के बल चल रहा है तो इतना अत्याचार हो रहा है बाहर, हम देख रहे हैं. जब भी वो चलना सीखेगा, जब भी वो दौड़ना आरंभ करेगा, तभी क्या क्या होगा. When he starts walking, when he starts running, then so many more sinful activities will be seen, which will be very obvious. And many things are already happening in the world, if we see. So we should not be disheartened by that. We need to just hold on to this good quality Kali Yuga has. Harinam. Focus on Harinam, chanting of the holy name of the Lord. That is going to protect us. Nobody else. No other method is there in Kali Yuga. That's the simplest and easiest method. But unfortunately, for people like us, I'm also included in that, that simplest and easiest method becomes the most difficult one. So if we hold on to this, the name, holy name of the Lord, that is going to protect us. That is going to be going to work like a boat, which can help us to cross over the ocean of this material creation. There is no other method. So this is the answer to your question. Yes, Mataji, many times people, they say that, unfortunately, that Kali Yuga समाप्त होने वाला है. Now you said, Shakuntala ji asked you about Kalki Avatar and it will happen. Vyasadev has mentioned about the Kalki Avatar also in the Bhagavatam. He has mentioned the family name of the person, the father's name of Kalki Avatar, Vishnu Sharma. And in the province of West Bengal, Calcutta, that part of earth, Kalki Avatar will appear. So, funny thing I want to share with you, when we were small children in our family, when these topics were discussed, so when this topic was discussed that Kalki will appear in Vishnu Sharma's house in Calcutta. So I used to tell my parents, why don't we move to Calcutta? Then, in our family, when a future generation, Kalki Avatar will appear because we are Sharmas. So this kind of funny things, we should discuss. So the point I want to make that yes, Kalki Avatar will appear, but not now. And when the Lord will appear in the Kalki Avatar, he will start killing everybody. No more preaching at that time. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that now this 10,000 years time is very significant, very crucial time. And this is the time when the spiritual practices will increase. And this is what we are seeing now. Temples, more and more temples also will be opened. And more deity worship also will carry on. So these things we will see, will progress. And then after some time, they will decline. And then eventually completely will be lost. So Prabhupada gave very strong instruction that do not wait for second chance. Make the best use of this lifetime, what Krishna has given you, and get out of this material world. Don't come back. Don't even think that you will come back and improve your sadhana, do more spiritual practice, more devotional service, then you will be liberated. No, because we don't know. By the time we qualify to be born as a human being, it may be after 10,000 years. And after 10,000 years, no more temples, no more deities, no more scriptures, no more Bhagavatam, no Bhagavad Gita, no Ramayana. So, where we will take shelter, where we will look for the shelter at that time. So the life will become miserable. So don't wait for second chance. Make the best use of this lifetime and get out of this material world. Right? So how many of you are you willing to do that?
एक तो नेक्स्ट 10,000 में ये हो जाएगा, तो फिर तो अभी 5,000 ईयर्स ही हुए हैं, तो फिर आगे के जो 3 लाख और समथिंग ईयर्स पड़े उनमें क्या होगा?
Yes. Beyond our imagination. beyond our imagination. The sinful activities will be so bad. See, Bhagavatam, in Bhagavatam scripture, the height of human beings is mentioned will be equivalent to the height of a thumb. And now the duration actually the allocated for the human beings in Kali Yuga is 100 years. But as Kali Yuga advances, the duration, the span of life will keep on reducing. People will start dying in an early age. Now people they die in early age because of some disease or all that, but at that time it will become a very common thing. So don't wait for second chance. Make the best use of this lifetime. Yes, Pashaji.
Yeah, Sharmaji, I have a question. I've heard in some satsang, I don't know from where I heard, in some satsang I heard that Kalyug, matlab, itna, matlab, jab advanced ho jayega, it'll be in the advanced stages of Kalyug, it'll reach to that stage where 11 saal ki bachchi nani banegi.
Yes.
Is that true? Oh my God.
Yes.
11 saal ki bachchi nani banegi. I can't imagine that.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Because as I said, the lifespan will be reduced to hardly 15, 16 years. 15-16 साल में अपना chapter खत्म. So now there is a possibility for a common human being to live up to 100 years. There's a possibility. That's the duration of time allocated for the human beings in Kali Yuga. But when Kali Yuga advances, progresses, the duration of life, the span of life will reduce. So don't wait for that time. Should not even think of coming back. Many times you might have heard, personally you might have felt, when we hear about these things, we see these things, why are we wasting time here? This is not the place to live. No matter materially how comfortable the situation may be, but we can experience the miseries, mental torture, emotional disturbance, right? The material comfortable situation is not the guarantee of making the life comfortable or helping us to feel comfortable, not necessary, right? If that was the case, apparently, commonly people, they say America is the richest country, right? Factually it is not, but still people, they think in that way. People are miserable. If the richness, material richness can guarantee comfortable life, then people should not be uncomfortable there, but people are miserable there. So the objects of comforts cannot necessarily provide comfort, cannot necessarily make us feel comfortable. The actual comfortable feeling comes from within. So if there is so much of disturbance happening outside, it will affect us. So our system also will get messed up within, and then we will feel uncomfortable. Then these kind of questions will come in mind. Why are we wasting our time here? Not only people who are in advanced age, they think that they want to die, but the death doesn't come. They are waiting for the death. It's not only limited to people who are advanced in age. Youngsters also feeling the same way. Many youngsters, unfortunately. That's a very unfortunate situation, right? So what Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, he himself, the creator himself is defining, is explaining the properties of this material world. 2 words. Krishna is defining the qualities of the material world in 2 words. What are the 2 words? If someone remembers. Anyone would like to share?
Dukhalayam ashashvatam.
Yes. Dukhalayam, the place of misery. Ashashvatam, that means it's temporary, not permanent. Only the thing which is permanent is continuous change. That's the permanent thing here. Things are changing very fast, right? And it is a place of misery. If the creator himself is defining the world like that, then we don't need anybody else's validation. We can see the validation, that the words of Krishna, apparently, validation is not the right word, but reinforced when we see people are suffering so much. What Krishna has said is true. That's evidence we see in our day-to-day life. So this is not the place. Prabhupada used to say this material world is not the place for gentlemen to live in. So just make the best use of this bad bargain, Prabhupada used to say. Our body is a bad bargain. This life is a bad bargain because we have so many limitations. Our intention may be good. Our intention may be there to do devotional service. But then the physical body, it stops us. We are helpless. But at least at consciousness level, we can still do that Manasa Puja. So we need to make the best use of this bad bargain and get out of this material world. And Bhagavad Katha, reading, hearing, discussing, sharing, nothing like it. No other pious activity can be compared with these kind of activities in which glorification of the Supreme Person is involved. No other pious activity can be equivalent to that. And this is the license. This, like, we can say license, visa, ticket, whatever you want to say to the spiritual world. Correct? So before we conclude, anybody, any last comments or any question? Any other realization somebody wants to share?
अच्छा है, मैं तो पहले बिल्कुल भागवत पुराण मैंने पढ़ा नहीं था और टुडे वी हैव ऑलमोस्ट कंप्लीटेड कैंटो 1, तो धीरे धीरे ही सही एंड आई ओपनर तो है ही काफी.
Yes, it is an eye opener.
और मैं तो जो पढ़ती हूँ आप तो उससे भी डेप्थ में बताते हैं, तो इवन सेशन भी अटेंड करते हैं तो उसमें भी कुछ ज्यादा ही मिलता है हमें.
Yes. So this is the benefit of discussing. When we discuss with other people who have more realization, more understanding, then it helps us to learn at a deeper level. So I again would request to all of you that now in the next session we'll start from the second canto. If you still do not have the Bhagavatam, please get the set of Bhagavatam and start reading. And please be more proactive in sharing your understanding, your realization, or even if you want to clarify any doubts, please bring up your doubts also, share, openly discuss those doubts so that it can benefit others also. Right? Now, from the second canto onwards, when we start reading, there will be many conversations between sages and their disciples. So in the third canto, there is a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. I'm just sharing with you briefly to illustrate the point. Now, many of these discussions which took place between great devotees like Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Vidura also is Yamaraj himself. He also is a great devotee. And to begin with, the conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj also is not an ordinary soul, great devotee of Krishna. Krishna himself protected Parikshit Maharaj when he was in the womb of his mother Uttara. So not an ordinary person. So these people, they are already knowledgeable. They are asking the questions in a very innocent manner out of curiosity from the great sages, like Parikshit Maharaj asked questions from Shukdev Goswami, Vidura asked questions from Maitreya Muni. In spite of knowing the answers, they ask these questions for the benefit of people like us, so that we can discuss this conversation and learn from that conversation. Right? So the point I brought this up again at this point of time during discussion, I want to request to all of you again, humbly request that please read. And whatever you understand, whatever you realize, please share with us. So it will make the session more interesting. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Question. I have a question.
Yes, Varsha.
I just thought, I just had an insight. So you said that Parikshit Maharaj was wearing one of the king's crown, the
Yes.
that he had got from Jarasandha's kingdom, by
Yes.
defeating them. So does that mean that whatever we wear, it carries our energies?
Of course.
So
No
when
doubt about it.
yeah, so when we share things with other people, like somebody wears our, so we would be carrying their energies, and that energy exchange would happen.
Definitely. Definitely. No doubt about it. No doubt
Mm.
about it. And I think you have more experience because you're in that energy field. So you can be more sensitive to feel that.
That's why I'm asking, because I've experienced it so many times. Oh my
Yes.
God, I just cannot, I'm just
Yes.
so yeah, so I really literally I have to come in. I have to purify myself with salt water.
Yes. Yes.
I would like to, yeah, I would like to share one incident.
Yes.
I was doing a session with someone, and usually I keep water on the desk while I'm doing a session with people. So that day my helper brought a glass of lemon water, and she had kept it on the side. And while I was conducting the session with my client, she was talking about so much anger and rage, and that session was all about energy exchange. So anyway, that session got over, and after that I just took that glass of water and I drank it.
Ah.
And then after that I was feeling so tired. I could not just keep my eyes open. So I thought, okay, after the session was over, I don't know why I'm feeling so tired, let me go to sleep. And that I slept for a while, about half an hour, 45 minutes. And then when I woke up and I went to the kitchen, my maid had done something which was very insignificant actually. Otherwise it wouldn't have bothered me, but that day, oh my God, I was in a rage. I was in a rage, and I yelled and screamed at her. And when after 5 minutes I was like, why am I getting so angry? And then I realized, oh my God, I've absorbed that lady's energies, and I drank that water, because she was talking about all that anger and rage, and the water was kept right here. And
correct. Yes.
we all know that water carries memory.
Sure.
And
Sure. Yes.
after that, I don't keep any water. I don't keep any water in the room.
Yes.
When I do sessions, I just leave the water out of the room when I finish my session. After that, I go and drink water. So that day I realized, oh my God, this is so true that the water carries memory. And suddenly I was in such a rage. And immediately I went to the temple. I went to my mandir, and I was like, oh my God, Thakurji, I'm so sorry. Why did I scream at my helper so much?
Yes. Yes. See, a very interesting point, Varshaji, you mentioned about the water. It's like a proverb in our Hindi language. Because sages, the brahmanas, when they used to go to ask for alms, beg for, food, the grains mainly, uncooked food, in charity, they would go for ask for something in charity. So the proverb was, if they would see that the person's house, the people's conscience is not good, they would not drink water. They would ask the gotra of the person before drinking water. So from that the proverb came, पानी पीने के बाद गोत्र क्यों पूछते हो? पानी तो पी लिया आपने, तो उसका तो इफेक्ट आ जाएगा, उसका तो प्रभाव पड़ जाएगा, अभी क्यों धर्म पूछते हो हमारा? So the sages, the brahmanas, used to be very careful. They would not drink water from any unknown person's house also. So yes, water, actually all 5 tattvas, they carry the energy of people, living beings around, right? But water, because it's more dense, so it carries it, the energy stays in the water for a longer time. अभी भूमि पूजन हम क्यों करते हैं? If we get property which was occupied by somebody else, then we just buy the property or rent the property. So in our Vedic culture, there is a provision made of doing the yagna to purify the place. Because yagna is fire. Fire is the purifying. Out of these 5 elements, the most purifying element is the fire. So when we do the yagna, it has purifying effect on it. Dissolves the negative energy of the people living there before, and then invokes the positive energy. Correct? So yes, and from this where mainly you raise a point about water, what you shared. Thank you for sharing that incident. You know, in our culture, it is mentioned that when we need to fast, especially Vaishnavas, they fast on Ekadashi. So the provision is made to do the sankalpa in the morning before sunrise, before you commence the fasting part time. Do the sankalpa, you chant the sankalpa while looking at the water, and then you sip the water. When people, they do that, I've shared this method with many people, in devotees. When they do that, they don't feel so much hungry on the fasting day. Because water carries the message to the digestive system. This person is going to fast today. No grains, no food will be supplied. So be prepared. And that same fire element, which is waiting normally for the food, when that fire element gets the message through the water, then engages itself to burn the toxins. That's why fasting works as a medicine. In Ayurveda, fasting is recommended as a medicine, provided it is followed properly. Otherwise, if fasting is not followed properly in a proper method, proper way, it becomes starving, and starvation has depleting effect. So this is the significance of water. Yes, and of course, the energy affects all other elements, but mainly, as you said, water is a very prominent thing, you know, on which we can feel the effect. Yeah.
So, Sharmaji, I would like to ask. So, like, you know, whenever we travel, we'll stay in different hotels and all that. We don't know who's been sleeping on those beds, and you know, they must be carrying other people's energies. So, how do we protect ourselves from that?
Definitely, definitely. That's the reason. I'm not sure about you, but you know, when we, my wife and I, we travel, we always carry a little bit of Ganges water with us, Ganga Jal, and we sprinkle the Ganga Jal in the rooms. If we are staying in a hotel room, we sprinkle that, and that has purifying effect. Ganga Jal is very potent also, no matter how old it is, but it has a potency.
So, I would like to share what I normally do is, no matter where I travel, before leaving the place, I always say I leave behind all the energies of this place in this place, and I take back all my energies with me. So this is how I always do. Just before leaving, just 2 minutes, I just sit there, meditate, and say that I leave behind all the energies that do not belong to me, and I take back all my energies with me.
Yes.
And I always tell my children and my husband also to do the same thing. So we all sit down and do that before we leave the hotel.
Good, good. Yes. Yeah, that's the right practice. That's the right practice. And see, in our Vedic culture, we used to have a tap outside the house. Whenever we come back home, before entering the house, we had to wash the feet. If the tap was not there, at least we should sprinkle some water on the feet before entering the house, so that we are not bringing the negative energy from outside to inside our house. Nowadays, people, they walk inside with the shoes. In our Indian families also seen, people, they walk inside. They come from the office back home. They just go to their bedroom with the shoes, same shoes. So we Indians have forgotten our own culture. Now this COVID has opened many people's eyes. What we used to follow traditionally before, Indians used to speak about this culture, our Vedic culture. Oh, this is a primitive thing, you know, old-fashioned. You're old-fashioned people. So what, you know, if you can walk with your shoes inside. Once jokingly, you know, I visited one of our clients' place. So at that time I was wearing the shoes with the laces. So I was trying to remove. Then the client said, okay, no problem. Indian family. No problem, we can walk in with the shoes. So jokingly, I told him, I don't want to make my shoes dirty. So I want to take them off before entering your house. So my point I want to make, you know, that these kind of cultural things, what were followed, there is a scientific reason behind. Because when we go around, so much of negative energy we have, and feet are the most affected part of the body by the negative energy. And if we bring the shoes inside the house, so walk around, then it will affect the energy in the house. And that's why so many families we see Ashanti, so much of disturbance is there in the families. Because these simple things they don't follow. I want to share another incident. One elderly lady in mid-70s living at near the peak, Muslim, Bori Muslims. There are in Muslims also, there are different sects. So Bori Muslim. So when I was doing the sessions for her, in between she had to go to the washroom. So she was wearing the wooden sandals, the sages devotees used to wear with the pointed between the big toe and the second toe. Khadao. Paduka, right? So she was wearing that. And when she went to the bathroom, she took out those Khadao, Paduka outside, and inside the bathroom she had another pair. So when she came out, then I asked her, how come you're doing this? Actually, this is our Hindu culture, but you're a Muslim. Then she said, Mr. Sharma, our great-grandfathers, they were Brahmins. And they were converted by Aurangzeb. But these are our cultural things. As a Brahmins, this runs in our family. And she said that if this Khadao, Paduka, what she was wearing in the house, if she had worn that to the bathroom, then the Khadao would be napak. In Urdu, they say napak, impure. They would get contaminated. And the Paduka, which were kept in the bathroom, I am not supposed to wear them in the house. They are for the bathroom only. If I bring them outside, that means the whole house will become contaminated, napak. So see, these cultural things, many people, they still follow. I was very much amazed, I was surprised to see that a Muslim lady is following, because it runs in their family. Their ancestors, they were Brahmins, high-class Brahmins, she said. So yeah, slowly, that people more and more, they're realizing the significance, the scientific reason, the scientific importance of this cultural, though they are traditional, but they're timeless. And if we follow more and more, then they can benefit us. Yeah. Okay. So we conclude today's session now. Thank you very much for your rapt attention and participation, active participation in that discussion. And I did not want to offend anyone. If by mistake I offended someone, please forgive me for that.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Varshaji, thank you for sharing about the water and the energy, what you do at hotels. I'll also follow that.
Yes.
That's great.
I would like to share what I put out. I've put a sign outside my door. Please leave your shoes and your negativity outside.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really
Hare Krishna to everybody. Shubharatri.
Hare Krishna.
And we'll meet again after 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shakuntala ji.
Good night.
Thank you, Shakuntala. Yes.
Thank you.